Welcome to the Builders of Authority podcast, a show committed to helping you build authority for your brand. In the realm of business and personal branding, authority stands as a cornerstone. Authority isn't built overnight, it's built over time. So join us as we build something remarkable together. And now, here's your host, Adam McChesney.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Builders of Authority podcast. Our title sponsor for the podcast is Go High Level, also known as GHL. Personally, I have used this software since 2020. It's been a game changer for my business and our clients. It's the first ever all-in-one platform that gives you the tools, support, and resources you need to succeed and crush your marketing goals. If you're looking to level up your CRM marketing game, this is the platform to use. You can find a link for a free 30-day trial with tons of Builders of Authority bonuses in the show notes. So take advantage of the opportunity to adopt this amazing software and grow your business in the process. Today, I'm joined by someone I got the chance to meet in person earlier this summer and shared the stage with at the Thing Nashville. There's certain people that you are going to learn something by the way they speak, and he was certainly one of those individuals. He's got an incredible story, a former chiropractor that's just doing some amazing, amazing things that I can't wait to dive into today. His story is full of ups and downs with plenty of lessons learned along the way, and he's going to help you understand the mindset needed to truly make what you want out of life, to live it to its fullest and achieve what is possible. Today, I'm joined by Dr. Justin Moseley. He is the CEO at Music City Health Center, a two-time TedX speaker, a speaker coach and consultant, as well as the host of the Mindset Doctor podcast. Justin, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks for having me, man. Looking forward to this.
I've been looking forward to it as well. And, I go to a lot of different events, right? And a lot of the events have all the same speakers. And I was just blessed to be at the Thing Nashville because I had never really heard anybody speak that was at that event. And you were one of those people that I just like hooked to from the beginning. I think it was just your story and the way in which you obviously told that story that I really connected with. And I was like, man, this is someone I want to learn more from. So thank you so much for having the opportunity to be on the show today, man.
Yeah, man. And yeah, same with you. The way you spoke, your energy, I think we really just resonated. So yeah, I'm glad that we got to connect after the event as well and then be here today, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So why don't you tell people a little bit about who Justin is?
So yeah, chiropractor by trade. My wife's a chiropractor as well. We still have a clinic outside of Nashville, Tennessee here. And yeah, started our practice in 2012 and built a large family practice. And fast forward to 2018, that's when I had a near-death accident. And I was whitewater rafting. It was just a freak accident. We hit class 5 rapids, and I was sitting on the back of the raft. Raft tipped over, and I got trapped underneath the rapid itself. And it pushed me underwater. I still remember the sound of my helmet scraping down the rocks as I was being pushed under. And I got trapped, wedged between two rocks. And the last thing I remember thinking is, I'm not coming back up. And everything went black. And then everything went bright white. And it was the most peaceful, serene feeling I'd ever felt in my life. And I don't know how long that lasted. I was unconscious. But then I hear this voice that said, wake up. And thankfully I did, because when I came back to consciousness, I was trapped underwater, wedged between two rocks. And then I tried to push, and I didn't budge. And I kept pushing and pushing. And finally my adrenaline kicked in. And we've heard stories of like a woman that can lift up a car to save their kid that's trapped underneath, something like that. Like that's what happened. There was like this supernatural strength. I was able to push hard enough. I broke the buckle on my life jacket that was trapped under the rock. Came to the top, gasped for breath, got swept down the river. And man, at that point I was rocked. I was like, man, what just happened? So it was a literal wake up call in that moment, but it was a wake up call for my life. And I realized, man, yes, I'm living my purpose. I'm helping people. I'm making a difference in our clinic and our town, but I'm playing way too small. And I knew if I truly want to step into the calling that God had on my life, I need to exchange my comfort for my calling. Because I had gotten comfortable with how things were going. So that's when I just kind of shifted gears. I looked back at my life and I was like, I've been into mindset, personal development, leadership, business, all these things I've studied for years. And I was like, I just want to put out content that helps people. And I didn't know if anybody's going to listen. I don't know if you ever felt like that. You start putting yourself out there and, hey, I don't know if anybody's going to listen. But the first of 2020, I started a Facebook group, and it grew to 1,000 people in the first month. So I was like, oh, cool. People are listening. And that led to me doing mastermind retreats and groups and coaching and speaking all over. And it's just been a true blessing. But yeah, it all stemmed from the near-death accident now to this. And I did a TED talk back in 2022 about my near-death accident and what I'd learned. And then fast forward, just did another one recently about how I overcame my fear of public speaking. Because people kept coming to me, they're seeing me speak everywhere, and they're like, man, I love what you do. I wish I could speak. It just comes so naturally to you, but I'm terrified. And I was like, this did not come naturally to me. Like for
Yeah.
most of my life, I had a tremendous fear of public speaking, but it's something I had to overcome. And that's my message now to people is everybody's got a story to tell.
Mhm.
Everybody's got a message that the world is waiting to hear. So I want more people to get out and share their message and make an impact in the world.
Yeah, I love it. And one of the things that I really just got hooked to what you said is to trade the comfort for the calling. So walk us through, I know you kind of touched on it a little bit, but like walk us through what you had to go through to realize, like, I know you mentioned playing spall, but like
Mhm.
this next phase, because like you could have continued to go in what you were doing and you would have been
Right.
just fine, but it was something bigger, deeper inside of you that wanted more.
Yeah. And we all question our purpose in life at some point. Like, why are we
Hmm.
here? Well, this is
Yeah.
all about.
Hmm.
Well, I asked a different question in that moment. I said, why am I still here?
Mm,
Because things could have been different in that moment. Like, what
yeah.
if I didn't wake up or didn't hear wake up? What if I wasn't strong enough to break free? It all could have ended in that moment. And then I asked myself, well, if it ended in that moment, is this the legacy I want to leave? And the answer was no.
Hmm.
And this is what drives me to this day. Like, I don't want to get to the end of my life and realize I could have done more. I could have helped more people, or I could have made a bigger impact. So that's what really drives me now is looking at, man, I'm on bonus time now. It's a gift. Like every single day, it's like, how can I impact someone's life? And the cool thing is, you don't have to have a near death accident. Most people wait for something to happen, the rock bottom moment or the loss of a loved one when we start contemplating life and realizing, man, life is short. But you can ask yourself that question now. Why am I still here?
Mm,
Because life is a gift. It's not guaranteed. You
mhm,
didn't have to wake up this morning, but you did.
mhm,
So ask yourself, why are you still here? And
mhm.
when you can answer that, you get a bigger purpose and bigger meaning to your life. And you can go out there and start playing bigger.
Yeah. Well, and I like what you said there is that you don't have to have that like life altering experience or the loss of a loved one to do that. And I think that's what a lot of people struggle with. And I know I struggled with it for a while. Like I was waiting, I was like, man, I need to not necessarily go to rock bottom in the business, right? Or in my personal life, but like I feel like I need some like I was almost like my story isn't good enough. And then like I've had some stuff happen this year that I'm like, man, I really wish I would have just like not waited for that moment to
Right.
go think about things differently. Why do you think so many people feel as if they have to have like the life altering story or the comeback story in order to start really living a different purpose or sharing their message?
Yeah, it really comes down to our own wiring and our subconscious programming. Our bodies aren't designed for success, they're
Mm,
designed for comfort and safety. So our nervous system are designed back in the day when, hey, fight or flight kicks in. If you go out and you're searching for food, you need to be able to sense if there's danger.
yeah.
So right now, the same thing in business. We get comfortable and we can get comfortable even when things aren't going well. But if we know we need to step out of our comfort zone to take things to the next level, our body goes back to that primal sense of this is danger. It's going to be hard. It's going to remind you when things didn't work in the past or when you tried something and you failed before, because it's trying to keep you safe. It's trying to protect you from having those experiences. The
Mm,
problem is it keeps you from breaking free. It keeps you from breaking through to the other side. So once you can actually step through, that's the first fear. Outside the comfort zone, you step into that danger zone where the
yeah.
fear shows up.
Yep.
And the voices in the head start of you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not worthy enough of this. And you're some for a lot of people, they just believe that. Yeah, you know what? I'm just gonna stay here. I'm gonna stay comfortable.
Mm,
But once you break through the fear zone, then you step into the growth zone. And that's where the work starts. And
yep.
it's like lifting weights. In order for a muscle to grow, it needs resistance. You got to have
Hmm.
resistance. So a lot of times we hit that resistance and we're like, nope, this is too hard. We're going to go back where it's comfortable. But if we can keep pushing through the resistance, just like our muscles grow, we grow. The more resistance we face, the more we grow, the more we're able to handle. And
Mm,
then after that, we get through that zone, then becomes the flow zone. where things that used to be difficult and hard now come easy and natural. And then after that, I think that's the impact zone. We get to the point where now it's not even about us anymore, not the success that we can achieve and what we can accomplish, but more about how we can make a positive impact in the world. But
Hmm.
it all starts back from examining your own comfort zone, which we all have. No matter what level we get to, our comfort zone just gets bigger. So
Yeah.
it's always looking outside of that. What's that next step where I can step out of this comfort zone to go to a new level?
Hmm. Well, I think that's I made a post a couple days ago. Maybe it might have been honestly even been yesterday on Facebook, and it was something along the lines of like, even if you're not where you exactly want to be at this moment, you still have to take a look at the progress you've made over time. Because you know, I talk with people all the time, and I'm like, man, like they're asking me, how I would handle the situation that they're going through, right? And I'm
Yep.
coaching a lot of people that are where I once was, right, in their
Yep.
digital marketing agency or their personal branding journey, and I'm like, man, I remember that moment in my business where I thought the world was going to end, and I was, sometimes I just have to be like, hey, like I would absolutely go back and take that as if that was my biggest problem right now, like
Yep.
just know like you're gonna get over this thing and then a whole other slew of stuff is gonna come, and it's not always gonna get easier, but you're gonna get more effective and more
Right.
comfortable with managing it and expand as you mentioned. So I think
Yeah.
like that's very profound, and so obviously the mindset doctor, the brand, all that stuff, the podcast and everything that you're doing, like talk to us about the importance, especially for business owners who are primarily like listening to this podcast, is the mindset in the business world. Because I think a lot of people
Mm.
get confused of like, man, I can just be really, really good at business and I can do the best at X, Y, and Z and make a bunch of money. But like without the mindset part of it, you're going to struggle to like sustain and grow
Yeah.
without it. So talk to us a little bit about your thoughts on that.
Yeah, because mindset is so important. And before we get to that, 'cause a couple things that came up when you said that before was I think I said it at the thing when I spoke, but in my TED talk, I quoted my friend Rory Vaden, "You are
Mm-hmm.
perfectly positioned to serve the person you once were."
Mm-hmm.
So that's
Mm-hmm.
what you were just talking about. It's like now I went through this. Now I can use my experience to coach these other people. And then
Yes.
another one is a big one I don't want people to miss. And I think it's Dan Sullivan, the strategic coach. He talked about like we always push our goals further and we never look back and celebrate how far we've come. We
Yep.
get here and we're just like, oh, this isn't good enough. Even if we hit our goal, like, okay, well, what's the next goal? And then
Yep.
what's the next goal? We
Mm-hmm.
don't take the time to look back and like, look how far we've actually come. So
Mm-hmm.
and it's a mindset thing. So that's why mindset's so important. But specifically, when you look at the business world, when I started coaching people, people were coming to me for their business stuff. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
stuck in business. And I quickly realized it was never the business. It was their level of mindset and personal development that was holding them back.
Yep.
And you can look across different industries. You can look at people who are doing what you're doing. They could be taught they could do the same courses, they could hire the same coaches, go to the same events, get taught the same material. Why do some people excel and some people do mediocre and some people do crap?
Mm-hmm.
It's their level of mindset and personal development that pushes them through. So, and I used to say mindset is everything, which in some cases it affects everything, but it's the foundation. But you also need the skill set as well. So I think
Mm-hmm.
you need three things. I think you need the mindset, the skill set, and then the heart set. The heart
Mm-hmm.
set is the mission, the driven, the why are we doing this? But then you got to learn a skill. You got to learn skills, marketing, sales, business. You got to learn the skill itself. But those without the right mindset, you're never going to get to the level you want to achieve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 Well, and I think that again, when you're getting started, like I tell everybody, like so many people want to go down the rabbit hole of like the self development and going to all these different events and the mindset and all, which I absolutely think is like important. I joined my first mastermind literally a month in, and I'm forever grateful for it. But I think a lot of people like overthink business as a whole in the beginning, and they want to go and they want to work on all these other things, but like they don't have a proof of concept. So I think
Right.
there's a mix and match, and but the good thing about mindset specifically, right, is you can take that and translate that to any aspect. Like if I had the
Yeah.
mindset that I had now working in medical sales in corporate America, like I I don't know if I would have left, right? Because I would have
Right.
just
Right.
been operating on a completely different cylinder. And so like you
Yeah.
realize though, as you grow and as you evolve, how crucial mindset is for the top performers in any industry, whether you're an employee or you're running your own business.
Yeah. And that's what's cool about it. When you grow, everything around you grows. Your
Mm-hmm.
relationships grows, your business grows, your finances grow, all by growing yourself. And like you said, you take those levels of mindset. Now look at the things you did before. Man, it's completely different.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where surrounding yourself with the right people, joining masterminds, getting coaching, people that join your group get to borrow your mindset. They get
Yeah.
to figure out, okay, how is he thinking and seeing things that I'm not seeing it where I am now,
Yep.
and they get to learn from them. And that's one of the things I love in the coaching space. I call it writing a check to go faster.
Yeah.
I can
Yep.
hire somebody who's already there and
Mm-hmm.
has it and can get me there faster and save me time, energy, and effort.
Mm-hmm.
Boom, I'll write the check and let them get me there faster.
Yeah. I always tell people it's like I focus on condensing time by paying money to people that I know that can get me where I want to go faster. And
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's still so crucial to be able to do that at any stage you're at. And I kind of wanted to transition the conversation here a little bit to kind of expand on that further. Is now you're obviously building a brand differently than obviously building a local business, right? Where, as you
Mhm.
mentioned, it's like I can have an impact on the community, but now it's a much bigger kind of opportunity, right? As you
Yeah.
mentioned, more people that can be impacted. So talk to us about your journey from a content creation standpoint, from just the mindset Dr. Brand standpoint,
Yeah.
and everything you've done. How has it been in that brand building journey?
Yeah. And for me, it was started back with just putting out content that helps people. And
Mm,
I never thought I was going to start another business and do coaching and the things that I'm doing. I just literally showed up to serve. And I've
yeah.
started multiple businesses off of two things. One, Jesus didn't come to be served, he came to serve. And
Yep.
then the Zig Ziglar quote, you can get anything in life that you want if you help enough other people get what they want.
Yep.
So I've always had this mindset of service. So I
Mm-hmm.
just started serving in my content, putting out
Mm,
stuff that helped people. I started just interviewing people weekly, like have experts come in and pour into people. So it was really just this heart of service, and that just started to grow. And then the cool thing is, locally, it wasn't specifically to my business, but that business grew because of my brand was growing. They
mm,
started viewing me as a local celebrity, and it started leading to other opportunities and speaking and all the things that I've been able to do now because I was getting in the reps and just putting myself out there. I never would have been able to do not only one but two TED talks had I not built a brand.
mm-hmm.
It was the brand. When people look at you, even if I would have applied for TED, they look up, who are you? They're going to
Yep.
look you up. They
Mm-hmm.
need to see you've got a track record of things, that you're speaking, that you're putting out good content, that you have a message that people want to hear. That's all through the brand that I've built.
Mm,
So not only has it helped, it's helped multiple businesses. It's helped coaching and what I'm doing over here, but it's also went back to my brick and mortar business as well, because people associate me with that business, even though I'm not even in the day to day.
yep. And that's where you said a couple different things there that I resonate a ton with, which is like providing the value first, doing all the different content pieces where you're interviewing people, where you're willing to just go and do your thing without needing something immediately in return. And that's where I think so many people struggle with building a brand is they're like, what's in it for me? How quickly can I get X back if I do X? And they're not playing the long game with it. And so that's where a lot of people struggle in going and really breaking through that barrier to continuously do it. Like I tell people all the time, is like anybody can post a bunch and do stuff for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. But it's what happens when you have that consistency and you're not getting the revenue or the exposure or whatever. Like
Mhm.
that's really what is the difference between continuing to go and do it and break through and not.
Right. Yeah. And you see this all the time. I mean, being in the marketing space, people want to pay money and get a return right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they want to do in their content too. I want to post this video and have something right now. But you
Yep.
got to lose the agenda and do have the long game mindset of what am I building? And
Yep.
I think just really with that mindset of how can I help people today? How
Mm,
can I put something out that helps people? And the more you put out that helps people, you're going to get it in return. I mean, it's the law
mhm.
of reaping and sowing. You sow the right seeds, you're going to reap the harvest. So
Yep.
just put out content that helps people strategically, and I'll use it. Like I love connecting with people like you. Like this is awesome. I love these things, but it's strategic. It's being on the stages, like we shared the stage together.
Mhm.
That happened because Terry reached out to me. That was the second time I spoke. So the year before, because he saw my content and he's like, "Oh, you're a speaker. You should come speak at this event." That never would have happened had I not been putting myself out there. So put it out there. Look for strategic relationships. grow the thing, borrow other people's audience. That's one of my favorite
Yeah.
things is there's people listening to this that have never heard of me before.
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully something I will say will resonate with them and maybe they'll go check out my TED Talk
Yeah.
and that will help it get more views and get more people to see it. It's already like 23,000 views. It's been out 2 months. And that's my heart is that message will help other people. So I get to borrow your audience. So thank you for that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I always tell people it's like I bring people on this, and when I share the episode out, I'm gonna tag you, and we're gonna share each other's audiences. And
Absolutely.
so
So, yep. I'll share it to mine. And people are like, hey, who is this Adam McChesney guy? I need to go check him out. Oh, I like his content. Oh, he's got a Facebook group. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's how
yeah.
it works.
Well, and that's where I think like so many people think, oh my gosh, I have to go spend a bunch of money running ads, doing all these crazy like. People overcomplicate this process, and when you do enough good, as you mentioned earlier, like everything is going to come back tenfold and help you get where you want to go. It may not be as fast, right? Like I'm going down the YouTube and shorts like rabbit hole with a new brand and a new channel, testing out some stuff that we're doing, and it's like, you look at other people's stuff and it's have this quick takeoff, and then they're getting monetized and doing all these other things, and I just have to like think back, right? Like, why am I doing this? And we get so inundated. I think being content creators and brand builders is we do get inundated with social media, right? So one of the questions I wanted to ask you is, how do you, I mean, I know everybody, even if they have the greatest mindset in the world, they tend to sometimes compare themselves and struggle with the trends and what they're seeing out there. But what do you recommend to people that are like, hey, I am trying and going and doing all this, but like I struggle with comparing myself and I can't get over that to feeling like I'm not enough or this isn't worth it.
Yeah. Comparison, that's an extremely important topic because we all see that other person, the one that, man, their video gets 10,000 views or now they got 100,000 followers, whatever it is. But it goes back to the why. Why are you doing it? If you're doing it for the followers, that's the wrong game.
Yeah.
You should be doing it for the one. Who's the one person I can impact today? And this hit me. I was on a podcast earlier this year. The dude gets 50,000 downloads a month. As you know, in the podcast game, that's a lot of downloads. And over the course, he's had 10 million downloads to his podcast. But everybody sees the highlight reel. They didn't see when he first started. He said the first 9 months, he had 50 total per month, 50 people listening. And he was questioning himself, why am I still doing this? It's a lot of work. Why am I putting this out there? Nobody's listening. And then 9 months in, he gets an email from a guy from Japan who had listened to the show and said, because of your podcast, I didn't take my own life.
Wow.
And he said he made a decision right there that whether it's one person, 50,000 people, he's going to show up and deliver because there's going to be at least one person listening. That's who he's there to impact. So I think that's what it comes down to is not getting distracted. We all go through those phases. It does get tough, like questioning, man, it's energy and effort to put this stuff out there. But the cool thing to remember is the impact we're making, a lot of it we don't see.
Yeah.
Like I spoke at an event 2 weeks ago and it was cool to be in person when somebody told me that my podcast had impacted their life. And I never met the person. I didn't even know they were listening. And if I wouldn't have been at that event, I never would have heard that in person, but I still would have been making that impact. That's what's cool to remember. You never even know. And I shared this quote in my TED Talk. It's one of my favorite quotes. You never know how far reaching something you may think, say, or do today can affect the lives of millions tomorrow. So that's why I just show up, put it out there. Don't worry about the numbers, the all that stuff. Look at it because there's things you can tweak and make things better and get more reach, but don't be consumed by the numbers, by the followers, all the data. Be consumed with the impact you want to make.
Yeah. Well, I think it's one of those things where it's like you just got to get started too. Like a lot of times, like I tell our community this all the time. It's like I've made so many mistakes in my content creation journey of it all, but like I'm so much further along because of it. And you can always go back and course correct and make things better and do that, which I couldn't agree with you there more.
So you're never going to be ready and you're always going to look back and look at your first videos and be like, those were crap. Might as well do that now. And then 6 months from now, it'll be better versus 6 months. Then the next year, then you'll look back and be like, the last 6 months was crap. Just go ahead and get it out there and then get better over time.
Yep. And it's one of those things that not only you likely have like one of my biggest regrets, if you will, is like not getting started with the podcast sooner, not getting started with my YouTube channel sooner. Like you're always going to find the excuse of why you can't do something. It is really about like getting started sooner rather than later, because the one thing you can't make up with all this stuff, you can go hire the coaches, you can go spend money, you can go do all this stuff, but you can't make up time. And a lot of these platforms, a lot of the brand authority all comes into just time in the game, time in the ring, time in actually implementing what we're talking about.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, so as we kind of finish up this episode, which has been absolutely great, Justin, I really appreciate your time. Talk to us about like what you're most excited about. I know you've got some new things kind of going on and continuing to just build your brand and your businesses, but talk to us about what you're excited about right now, what you're working on, and kind of what the future holds for you.
Yeah, so I'm doing a lot of speaking right now, a lot of talking about my TED Talk. So I hope people go to YouTube, just look up Justin Moseley. My most recent TED Talk was in June 2024, just came out. And I have another one from 2022. But this one's all about how I overcame my fear of public speaking.
Love
And
it.
that's on my heart right now. I want people to realize you have a message to share. There's a message inside of you the world is waiting to hear. And that's what I'm doing a lot now. One, I'm speaking, but I'm also running speaking boot camps. I'm doing speaking coaching to help people get their story out. Because one, I love how your story can grow your business, because a message that resonates can drive revenue.
Yep.
So I love getting people to help business owners bring out their story, but then actually generate leads and generate money through speaking. So that's one of the things I love to do as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, and I think just excited because I've not only heard you speak, I've watched the TED Talk, and I know like how real and authentic what you're doing is. And I think you're literally just scratching the surface on that bigger impact of what you're going to be able to do. The more and more people start to obviously hear your story and you start to grow with other people's audiences as well, like it's going to be really cool to see this thing take off.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. I appreciate you having me on here.
Yeah, of course, man. So tell everybody, I know you mentioned this stuff about the TED Talk, but where can people stay in contact with you, get, notified about everything you have going on, social media links, all that stuff? We'll put it in the show notes.
Yep. So Instagram at Dr. Justin Moseley. Check me out there. I'm very active there. Shoot me a DM. If something I said resonates, I'd love to hear about it. And then drjustinmoseley.com and even drjustinmoseley.com/links. I've got a bunch of free resources, how to overcome speaking anxiety to mindset stuff. There's all kind of cool stuff there you could get as well.
Love it. Well, Justin, thanks so much for coming on again, man. This was awesome, and always great chatting with you, and looking forward to chatting with you again here soon, man.
Absolutely, man. Looking forward to having you on my show as well.
Yeah, we'll definitely make that happen. Thanks again to our amazing title sponsor, Go High Level. Without them, we aren't able to produce the quality of content or have amazing guests on like we did today with Dr. Justin Moseley. Check out a free and extended 30-day trial in the show notes. We're using it, have used it since 2020. It's an absolute game changer. Make sure as well, leave us a 5-star review. We're making a big push for reviews, and it helps move the needle. And remember, authority isn't built overnight. It's built over time.
Thanks so much for tuning into this episode. We sure do appreciate it. If you haven't done so already, make sure you're subscribed to the show wherever you consume podcasts. This way you'll get notifications as new episodes become available. If you feel so inclined, please leave us a review. We sure do appreciate it. Until next time, friends.